Hi, I'm Zaid Al-Nayazi and I'm a musician living in Edinburgh, Scotland. I believe I'm quite an approachable person, but I can also be quite curious. But at the same time, I can be really quiet. I guess it depends. I'd say a very curious, shy person. I draw a lot of influence from different jazz players, different soul players, and different pop artists as well. You know, I think when I studied music, a lot of it was jazz theory. And although I'm not a jazz player, for example, I take a lot of influence from that sort of thing. I listen to a mix of things. I know it's very cliche for people to say that. So there's folk, Americana music, there's metal music, there's synth pop, a bit of country music. I don't know how it's crept in, but I'm vibing that at the minute. And then there's it's basically called jazz fusion. It's not exactly something I'm a big fan of, but since I've been listening to that, it's been helping a little bit with my guitar playing. So that's like rock and jazz fused together. I'm obsessed with a record by a musician, Jordan Rakei. He's got a song called Mind's Eye. I'm very obsessed with that at the minute. Bill Leib and Rhys Fulber, they're part of a group called Delirium. And back in the 90s, they were also doing Frontline Assembly and this industrial metal revolution I think it was in Canada. And when I first heard their music, it was something so different. It was so produced differently to what I'm used to. A lot of soul and R&B influences come into my work with others. So I think when somebody approaches me with a project, I'd be keen to show them that side of me first. I loved a lot of Michael Jackson when I was growing up. Very much into what was in the charts. I can remember there was a bit of Tina Turner as well. I think I sort of started to grow out of that sort of thing at 8 years old, and I was able to sort of discover my own music. But I'd say the biggest thing I was listening to when I was a teenager was probably Marilyn Manson. That was a shout out to my dad who absolutely loved that I listened to Marilyn Manson. When I grew up around the house, it was always like really hi-fi music. All the systems were sort of up to date, and he was getting these mental speakers in. And I'm sure he was overpaying for them as well. I went to school with somebody he was actually my best friend at the time. And I was sort of very excited telling him, listen, my dad's bought me a guitar. Come check it out. We were listening to a lot of Linkin Park, and then he'd come over and he'd never played guitar in his life, and he was able to listen to the sounds and very quickly translate that. When I saw that, I think that also boosted my understanding. So the songwriting came quite early, and we couldn't tell you what any of the chords we were playing, you know, for the longest time, I'd say, until I actually studied music. I was living in Aalyn, which is the town I went to high school in, and I had my acoustic guitar, and I was waiting for two of my friends who we were going to go and meet up and write music together. So I bring my guitar out and I'm just playing on a bench in this park, and a guy walks past me, and I forget his name, and he was like, oh, I really like your guitar playing, and he gave me a card, and he was a music studio owner. And I'd never been in a recording studio in this point, especially in the town I grew up in the United Arab Emirates. You know, a lot of the focus was on Dubai, a lot of the development was in Dubai, and Aalyn was just a very small town. So very excited went, and it was the first recording studio experience that I ever had. And it came about me sitting in a park, just playing with my guitar, something that I never did. So that's always something that I try and remember, that, you know, you could meet somebody and, you know, some cool story could come out of it. I eventually had the confidence to apply to study music. I then finished with a bachelor with honours. When I finished university, I started work full-time in projects outside of music, whilst in the background writing and practicing and really trying to just discover that sound that could be recognisable and attributed back to me. I'd say I'm a guitar player or a songwriter that you can hire to either collaborate or write for you. And I think ideally that would be my job. I haven't done you proud. I am collaborating with a producer called Haquin. He's from Portobello, but he's actually my neighbour here in Albert Street, so it's very handy to have him there. And a very old friend of mine called Kirsten Rennie. I think we realised early, the two of us, we have a very, I'll say, professional relationship where we really understand each other. And she knows exactly what I want to hear, and I know exactly what she wants to hear. And the same more or less goes with Haquin. He's very, not rigid, but he knows exactly what he wants. He knows exactly what he's trying to pull out of me. The more I spend time with him, the more I realise his habits are now appearing in my music. So I'd say they're long-term collaborators. We are writing music together. We did a song called I Think I'm Lost. It was a very basic chord progression that I put together. I think the only lyric I did have was I think I'm lost. I really didn't know what else I was scribbling. We went and put that together, and in terms of streams and in terms of engagement, it's been the most successful one so far. And it's the amount of random people that have sort of gone out of the way to be in touch, to say, listen, we really like this. Why is there not more? Because there isn't. I think that's the only one, really, that and another small EP on Spotify. And then it made its way onto different playlists, either ones we've submitted to or ones we've had requested. I've collaborated with people I've never met, which is a crazy experience. There's a guy in Florida, and I'd commented on a SoundCloud saying, listen, I really liked your song. And he was like, well, I like this one you did. If I send you the track, will you do something similar? Done that on my computer, sent it back. We had very similar setups at the time. The current process I have of writing music and producing music is something that's quite therapeutic to me. Sort of the sonic world I create, if you will, is somewhere I can go to reflect on my day, my week. It's where I can gather my thoughts. It gives me something to work towards. A lot of the times in life, you could feel like you're sort of stuck. You might be in the same place and you're not moving, whereas music's always evolving, even from one note to the other. It's something that you always see progression in, and I think that's what really brings me back. It's the most effective tool for self-communication, I believe. My name is Zaid, and here's a preview of my latest EP called Behind Your Eyes.